prepared like I normally do. Just want to start off by saying that we've got a couple things for you tonight. Just one thing I wanted to tell you is about that, about the little thumbnail that we have with the guy that's looking out of the aircraft, looking at the fire that's down below on the ground. That's a smoke jumper photograph. And the reason why I put that up there is because, number one, I had a career in wildland firefighting. And also liked that picture because it kind of gives you an idea of sort of like going to something, it's building, the adrenaline's pumping, you're looking out the window, you're seeing what's developing, and you're preparing for your response with all your training, with your crew, with how it's going. You know that those moments that are leading up to something that you know is going to be big, and you're going to be working for a long time on something. Those moments, yeah. So that just kind of reminded me of like back in the day when I was on aircraft and then also on the ground and on engine crews, hand crews. Yeah, it was some great times. Great times out in the field doing those things. So if any of you been ever done any wildland firefighting or work in forestry, it's so good. It's so good to be out and working hard, especially when you're young. I can't imagine doing that today. But all that to say that I loved wildland firefighting, and if I had gotten hired when I was trying to in the great big long state that's on the Pacific Ocean, I would have been there for sure. But as you can see, I probably wasn't what they were looking for. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Anyway, back on to resilience and trauma fitness. This is, I believe it's our third or fourth episode. The reason why you still see my smiling face here and not some other people is because we haven't had any guests yet, in case you haven't noticed that. We are still working on that. Please contact me via email. Some of you that know me have my phone number, and you're welcome to contact me. But we are working through some of the initial sort of how do we break the ice kind of things, like, get on here and talk and yeah, it's just kind of me. So with that, I will just kind of segue right into what I was going to talk about tonight. So I'm going off of some of the notes that I've taken during some of the work that I've done, and we'll just jump into this. And if anybody has any questions or comments, opinions, things like that, feel free to throw it in the comments. I'm happy to talk about those things. I may not catch those on the live episode, but if I can, I will. I just don't know if I can catch those and respond. But if you have questions or you have some experience that you want to share, by all means. We're in this for the mission and for the duration, and this is things gonna take some interesting directions, and like, be that as it may. So forgive me for doing all my normal stuff that I do, but this is very kind of non-scripted, sort of like a live show as it is here. It may not be live show when we do when we have guests. That kind of remains to be seen, what they're comfortable with, and how that pans out. But we're going to continue to keep doing these, and let me know. I know that some of you have got some amazing stories, and I know I've got mine. I'm pretty used to my story, but I'm interested in you and what you've got to say, and it means a lot to not just to you, but it means a lot to other people who need to hear your story. Because one thing that the enemy wants us to think is that we're alone, and that no one else could possibly have ever dealt with something like this. Yeah, no, there is a lot of other people out there that have or are dealing with things like that. Um, so no, uh, brother, sister, you're welcome here. That's for sure. So let's move right into it. Um, some of the notes I have here. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. And that is why we call it the present. My good friend Alana told me that, and I enjoyed hearing that. It was very good. Um, One of my notes was embrace this season. And I don't mean not this holiday season, because this is November. It's almost Thanksgiving of 2024. Um, but don't miss the present now, in the now today. Don't miss that today. And the next question I have is, how do we make this season better when it's a struggle, right? And so if it is a struggle for you, you're not alone. Happy to report that there is hope. There is hope, and that is not always. We're not always aware of that. We're not always mindful of like door number 2, door number 3, door number. You know what we can only see so much sometimes when you get into a rut, a trench, something that you feel like you can't get out of on your own, and so that spoke to me, that what Alana had told me there. Um, a brother of mine had reminded me of the mask that we wear, uh, specifically like roles that we play. What kind of mask do we wear in the different roles that we play? What kind of roles do we play? We play dad roles. We play, you know, professional first responder, firefighter, captain, battalion chief, you know, uh, boss, supervisor. I have to have all the answers because I'm talking to you who are lower rank than me, and you don't have all the answers. Or I have to pretend like I have all the answers, and I've been there, done that. So you need to listen to me, because look at the bars on my shoulder, on my collar. Yeah. Okay. So, how many different kinds of roles do you play? You know, I don't even, I don't even, I don't even go back to until I think about it. I don't even go back to when I was working, and the mental gymnastics and the power plays and the promotional, circus. I don't even think about that until I start rewinding and going back into that. So, but some of you are living through that, and you're dealing with that, and it wears you out, wearing the mask uh, at work, at home, um, and it drives you to do things and to consume things and put things in your body that we know are not good for us, right? no blame, no guilt there at all. It just is. And, there is hope. There is hope. There is a way and a light. And, and I always want to be mindful of that. I want to remind you of that. I want to remind myself of that. This is a process. It's something that you can continually work through. Not always on your own, but there are some things we can do to work through some of those things. I remember early on in in doing some of this kind of work, a lady named Denise taught me a class, and the class was about it was based on a curriculum, a book that was written called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I bought the book, and honestly, I haven't really, I don't have all the answers, right? I don't have all the atomic habits. I will tell you that that is something that I could continue to work on and improve on. But I think it's very good. It's very good. What I learned about it was that tiny changes over time consistently can create remarkable results. And I think one of the sayings that came out of that was like, okay, there is a nugget of wisdom right there. And I would say the cost of your good habits are in the present, and the cost of your bad habits are in the future. Okay. Oh, deep, Bodhi, so deep. Well, I don't claim to be like, some Mr. Wisdom guy, but I will tell you that that kind of rang true to me. The cost of your good habits are in the present. Okay, so the cost of that, we're seeing that. I'm having to sacrifice of self, doing something for a family member or something for somebody I work with, or I'm doing something. This is a good thing that I'm doing. It's a cost to me. I'm doing it right now. That will produce good fruit. When I'm doing stuff in the present that are not good for me, I will pay the cost for that in the future. It's a given, and it's actually biblical. It is in the Bible too, but it just makes sense. If a rotten tree will not produce good fruit. A tree that is damaged, that is diseased, and we can point to this in lots of different ways, but people that are so consumed with evil or just bad habits, that they've made bad choices, it doesn't usually end up going well for them in the future. So that's the only point. And I think don't want to camp out there, but just to be encouraged that we got to do some things. We got to put one foot in front of the other and try to develop some good habits on how we can get through today, but not just today. And that is like also building sort of like build some structure for tomorrow and next week, and how's that relationship at work going, or how's my relationship with my wife going, and what can I do today that can help me with that. If you're at a place where you're really struggling and that's a tough thing for you, I would encourage you to call the Center of Excellence. I have their phone number and their information. I have mentioned this before, but I would like to mention it once again. Um, and that is the phone number is 844-244-1334. That is the intake for the IAFF Center of Excellence. And so I have mentioned that before. If there's anybody who needs those kinds of interventional kind of help, they're there for firefighters. They do good work, and in fact, they're expanding the model that they have found works very well on the East Coast. They are now working to open a center of excellence on the West Coast. And I believe they have the land and the leadership in place to do that in Hemet, California, I believe. Don't hold me on that. I could be spreading rumors, but that's what I understand, is that it's being put together out there under the leadership of a guy that I know, that I've been trying to get a hold of so he could come on here and we could talk. But hopefully that comes to fruition sooner rather than later, because I know the brothers and sisters on the West Coast could really use that. That would be ideal for them, and then they will know that a center of excellence is the real deal. Right now, they don't know that. I know that there's a lot of really good centers, and they're sprinkled around all over the country, but I will totally admit that I'm biased. I have been, I think, to the best place that a firefighter can go, where you are surrounded by other firefighters and you live the life. There's some camaraderie. There's fire. There's the fire pit. There's sharing of stories that we couldn't possibly begin to get to the level of sort of like the brotherhood, the true camaraderie, and that you experience with that in that kind of work. And it's hard. It's physically exhausting. And I encourage anyone who has having that kind of struggle to reach out to them. It's some of the best. It's some of the best. It could be life-saving, and it could be the very best decision you've ever made. And if you don't know, if you're in denial and you don't think you have PTSD, or if you don't think you need anything like that, then, great. How's your life going? Are you getting the things that you want? How's your family doing? Would they tell you that you need some help? I don't know. I'm certainly not going to, weigh in on that, but you can make the decision on what you need and when you need it. So we're here. We're not going away unless the Lord takes me. But there's the center is there and all that, and that's good stuff. I'm not going to go too long tonight. This has been an interesting week. I will tell you that normally holidays are pretty interesting, at least historically, at least in my family. I don't know how it is for everybody else. They have the potential to be mentally, emotionally charged. A lot of tension, difficulty communicating, pent-up frustration, maybe coming out in different ways. A lot of emotions, some stuffed feelings and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm not speaking personally about my own situation, but people do run across that quite a bit. And the tension can turn into, family arguments, all different kinds of things, right? So we've lived this stuff, um, seen this stuff in our families. Um, and I would just say that, it's so interesting to find out that, um, there are people and I think a lot of people are pretty much like, they're like, at least the guys that I work with, or guys that I used to work with, and a lot of them, like, oh, that doesn't happen. I'm perfect. There's nothing like that happens in my house. And it's like, really, when you go behind the scenes and you find out, like, actually, there really was some things going on back there, and like, I don't want to pry into anybody's personal life at all, but uh, what you find out when you go into the homes of the elite, people who have millions and millions of dollars. And I'm not talking as a first responder. I'm not talking about going in their houses as a first responder. I'm talking about those folks. Before I was a first responder and I lived in Northern California, I've been in some people's houses because I had some friends who were very well off. And I've been in their houses and I've seen how they live and how they treat their kids and how they do some of the things that they do. And it's absolutely amazing. There is there is it's almost worse, I think, when you have families that don't they want their kids over there. I mean, when you grow up in an environment like that where there's um, like, we have kids, but they don't bother us, and they don't, we're not going to interact with them, and you do this and you have to do that, and if your grades aren't, super top, so you can get in a top university, then, you know um, but just the rampant, just unsupervised, blatant, just disrespect and absolute mayhem and chaos that is going on in their lives. I mean, it was something to behold. I'm telling you, I have seen some things that just were absolutely blows your mind. And now that you can see some of the masks coming off, some of the things that have been sort of like, uh, you know, put out there on social media about what's going on down in Hollywood and what some of these people do and how they. I mean, you're not surprised. You're not surprised at all to hear anything like that. But I tell you all this to tell you that, for the reason being that it's like, okay, wait, you think you have something going on that's like really heavy duty? You ought to see some of the dumpster fires of backgrounds and situations that other people have that are like, like famous, or, have got like, a truckload full of, millions. It is, it is all over the place. Okay. It's all over the place. And so one of the things we need to do, I mean, a lot of people who are first responders, you have a background in working on the streets, this stuff, you've got that stuff figured out. It's, responding to, emergencies is like, I do this every day. But, like, dealing with, like, how does it affecting me? It's like, you don't see that. You don't, there's not a little meter, there's not an EKG, like, or like a little meter on your arm, on your watch that says, man, you're starting to peg the red line right now. You're getting up there. You need to go and, not go drinking or not go medicating somehow, and, or in your addiction, but you need to, like, go for a walk, go for a swim, go work out. You're getting up there. Maybe you need to call in sick, or you got to get some help because calling in sick's not working anymore. It's not, arguing with the wife, kicking the dog, doing this and doing that. It's not working. I've got to get serious about taking care of this. Yeah. So I'm encouraging you to be like, hey, do the work, Get in there, dig around, do some digging in the dirt, do what you got to do, right? Because nobody's going to do it except you. Only you are the one that knows what is going on inside. So don't just be like, no, it ain't happening. No, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's moving around. It's got legs. It's like running in there and it's going. So like, don't pretend like it's not. And your mode, when you flip your switch or something like that, it might look different. It might look different for this guy than it does for that guy. How my personal one is I enjoy well, maybe too much self-disclosure. I won't go there. But I have some things that I do when I get that way. Some of you know me, know how things affect me sometimes. But I will tell you that it's not the same, right, for everybody. And wearing the mask and pretending like it's not happening is so not helpful. It just like, it's like you got to find a place where you can be safe. You got to find a place where you can be vulnerable with some folks who absolutely have your back and are not gonna throw you under the bus. And I will tell you, I've experienced that, and I will tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it, and it's because you're worth it. I repeat that. I say it's worth it because you are worth it. Do the work. Do the work. Don't just show up and pretend. Okay? Don't pretend to take off the mask. Don't do that. Okay? Show up. Be on time. Be early with your coffee. Be intentional. Do it. You can do it. I mean, come on. I mean, you know what? Were you ex-military? You had to be on time, or are you paramilitary, fire department organization, EMS? Yeah, I mean, this is what we do. We're on time. We can do this. We can do this because guess who's we're doing the work for? Who are we doing the work for? We're doing the work for us. Why? Why are we doing the work? Because my wife told me I had to go and do it. Because my kids, I can't stand to see them crying anymore because of a big giant argument. No. Yeah, those are great reasons to do it. But what do they want? They want you to get some help. So don't do it for them. Do it for you because they want you to do it for you. I don't know. We're going on 28 minutes. We could be going a little too long here. I'm just going to keep rolling with this. I did read, I read something in this book, I think last time. I this is an interesting book. I love this book. I mentioned this before, The Good and Angry book by David Powlison. I will just tell you, I have asked for permission to read this thing from them, to read portions of this book, to go through the right channels to get permission to read, it's broadcast on the YouTube channel. And they're very slow to get back to me, so I'm not really happy about that. So until they do, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read some of the pages on here because I'm just waiting for them to get back to me. And when they do tell me that it's not okay, then I'll stop reading. So this is part of chapter 3. I'm just going to read a few of the highlight points here. So it goes, he goes, I can confidently write that you have a serious problem with anger because I do, because we all do. How do you react to that truth? This chapter will look at 6 common reactions to the hard statement that we all have an anger problem. And then he goes on to say later, he asks this question. Perhaps one of these 6 reactions describes you. Let me go into the 6, okay? And then we can just chew on that for a little bit and see how that relates. Number 1. Yes, I know I've got an anger problem. I feel guilty and discouraged. Some of these people agree right away, right? Number 2. So the question is, which of these 6 reactions describes you? Because maybe, but I know other people who have a lot bigger problem than I do. Some people hedge a bit. You're willing to admit that the shoe fits, sort of, sometimes, maybe, but yeah, I know I get a bit upset sometimes and get a little out of line, but I know some people with serious anger problems, and I'm not like anything like them. Okay, number 3. No, I don't have an anger problem. I've got good reasons to be angry and bitter. Some people acknowledge they're angry, but they make a plausible case in their own minds, an airtight case, that they've got reasons. Okay, number 4. Well, I might get angry sometimes, but I'm not really an angry person. Some people take this a step further and deny that they personally have a problem. I'm not really an angry person. Deep down, I'm basically a nice person. I get along great with the guys at work, but my wife is such a pain. Okay. All right. Number 5. No way. I found that anger is the empowering solution to personal problems and social injustice. Then there are people who see anger not as a problem, but as the solution. I used to go along with the status quo, but then I had an epiphany. I saw how often I was playing the victim role, how I believed the lies that people were telling me. I was passive, a doormat. Getting in touch with my anger has energized me and given me new identity and purpose. I no longer put up with being manipulated. I've learned to stand up for myself and for my opinions, for what I think is right, for what I want. Ooh, righteous. Or unrighteous. And number 6, finally. I hardly ever get angry. Life's usually been pretty good, and I try to keep the problems in perspective. Some people are a bit mystified by the thought that they have an anger problem. I'm basically a peaceful, easygoing person. Live and let live. I don't make huge demands or place unreasonable expectations on people. And on it goes. So, is there a strand of truth in some of these? Do we have a blind spot that we're missing? So, yeah. So I think that this was, I think this is pretty good. This is pretty good. You know, I would just kind of end this by this section on this anger part. The Saint Francis of Assisi's prayer is perhaps the most well-known prayer outside of the Lord's Prayer. He longs for a better way to respond to the troubles, aggravations, and evils that we face. Notice what he asks. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console. To be understood as to understand. To be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Notice each of the bold words. Each one is opposite of unruly, confused, reactive anger. So, this is a well that is very deep. This is something that deserves some work. This is something that I would like to pursue a bit further. Not on this podcast, but we're going to, well, not on this episode. We're going to continue to work through some of these. This would be considered like the first of probably quite a few going into this until I get denied permission to read just the portions of this book that I'd like to read. So, having said that, I'm going to look in the chat and see if there's any questions. How are we doing on this? Okay. And hearing none and seeing none yet, I'm going to look a little longer and find out what we have in the chat. And it's not as easy to bring up as you would think.